This is a question that people have to ask. And nobody wants to because, well, of course, only the good questions are refused to be asked. Why are there so many celebrity trans kids? How does this work out statistically? Is this some kind of weird coincidence? Is this a construct? Are they being paid? Is this some kind of what? How does this work? Statistically speaking, something obviously doesn't add up. According to Gallup's 2024 polling, about 0.6% of U.S. adults identify as transgender. 0.6%. Among children, that number is even smaller. Because how do they know? In many cases, unless they're told. And that number is somewhere between 0.1% and 0.3%. Now, depending upon the study, these are razor-thin margins. So how is it that in this really tight-knit world of celebrity parents and the like, how is it, statistically, lo and behold, celebrity parents, a pool that represents a sliver of a portion of the general population, how do we see a disproportionately high number of trans kids? How do we see this number of so many of them suddenly having transgender children? Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union have a transgender daughter. This is just a few. Zaya. Charlize Theron said her child looked at me when she was 3 years old and said, "I'm not a boy." Cynthia Nixon, Angelina Jolie, and Jamie Lee Curtis have all made headlines for affirming their children's gender transitions. Now, pause for a second. Is that statistically normal? Is that statistically even possible? Not even close. If we assume generously that 0.3% of kids identify as trans and estimate that 1,000 or so celebrities are in the spotlight at any given time, we'd expect maybe 3 kids in the whole celebrity world to identify as trans. Yet the real number appears to be multiples higher. And most of them just so happen to be from A-list, activist-leaning, media-drenched families. Isn't that something? Now, you can dismiss this as coincidence, or you can ask the harder question. Is there an incentive to go trans in Hollywood? Not for the actors. Oh, no. They're not going to ruin their career. No. But their kids? Oh, it's all big game. Let's get brutally honest. Remember how we were Mia Farrow, Madonna, you were grabbing these kids and Angelina Jolie, and we're grabbing them and we're adopting them, and Oprah's taking the kids over there. These kids are like the commodification and the merchandising of kids. But as you know, Hollywood is not a meritocracy. It's an attention economy. And the more headlines you get, the more brand deals you land. And the more visibility your projects receive. And in today's landscape, nothing boosts clout or name recognition than identity. Excuse me. I just eructated. I became borborygmic. Excuse me. Now, we've already seen, and you've seen this, major celebrities get rewarded. You know, massive media coverage, GLAAD awards, interviews with Oprah, Netflix specials. Not for acting or directing, but for parenting a transgender child publicly. It's the ultimate progressive badge of honor in elite circles. And with the growing corporate ESG, don't forget them, environmental, social, and governance scoring systems, there's real financial rewards in appearing socially forward. So when brands choose spokespeople, cast shows, or hand out grants, they look at how diverse or inclusive your narrative is. Now, a celebrity with a transgender child becomes an automatic DEI darling, a walking PR goldmine for brands chasing woke points, right? So the question is, are celebrities financially incentivized? You know what that means? Not money, this. To learn to learn more about this and lean into this. Absolutely. Maybe not a direct, here's a check kind of way, but through visibility, through roles, book deals, political capital, you bet. Now the question is it genuine? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. I'm not saying every celebrity parent is exploiting their child. Nobody is. Some surely want the best for their kids. But the trend isn't just about support, it's about visibility and branding and agenda promotion. So ask yourself this question. How many of these trans kids don't appear on red carpets, magazine covers, or in fashion ads? How many are just quietly living their lives? Very few. See, the media amplify these stories endlessly because it fits the narrative and it helps both the celebrity and the system profit. So, would the same media outlets run glowing headlines if a celebrity said, I'm concerned about medicalizing my child for life at the age of 10? Of course not. That celebrity would be canceled, silenced, exiled, because there's no cultural or financial reward for restraint. See, that's the thing. Nobody ever wants that. Nobody ever wants that. Nobody would ever even suggest that. What about the kids? Well, this is where things go from suspicious to downright tragic. We're talking about irreversible medical decisions, including puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, even surgery, mutilation, and the like. So the long-term effects of this, not well understood. And the regret rate, oh God, who knows? Suppressed in most studies. You see, the psychiatric comorbidities, never talked about. Sky high in trans-identifying youth, yet few people ever talk about them honestly. Of course not. That would destroy the narrative. When children become pawns in a game of adult virtue signaling, we lose the moral compass completely, all right? Now, while regular American families are told to stay out of it, celebrities are put on a pedestal. And they're celebrated for decisions that would land average parents like you and me under CPS investigation, if not worse, in some states, if made, without careful oversight. If you dare to do this in some other states, but the media's role in manufacturing consent. See, this is, to use the Chomsky term, is critical. Why won't the media ask the obvious statistical question? Why is there zero curiosity about why so many celebrities who make up a fraction of a percent of the population just so happen to have these trans kids? Because the media aren't neutral. They're the enforcers of the narrative. The same media that declared that men can get pregnant without irony is the one that scolds you for wondering why Hollywood suddenly looks like a gender ideology convention. They can't have it both ways. They determine what you can ask, what you can't ask, because they're not journalists anymore. They're the cultural equivalent of North Korea TV. And the progressive parent of a trans kid is their new, favorite mascot. This is controlled messaging, scripted virtue, manufactured reality. You see, when you control the media, the schools, the streaming platforms, and the award shows, you control reality. You get to define what's brave and what's bigoted, and what's progress and what's hate. And if you dare to notice the statistical weirdness of it all, you're branded a conspiracy theorist or transphobe. And here's the real thing. A real conspiracy doesn't need everyone involved. It just needs a few people, few powerful people, willing to go along and rest, and the rest of us, maybe the balance, too scared to even speak up. You don't need everybody. So here's the bottom line. I'm not saying there's a memo going around Hollywood saying, turn your trans kids in for clout, or we'll give you, I don't know, after the USAID stuff, I don't know about that. I'm saying that if there were such a memo, everything happening now is exactly what you would expect to see. this reality looks exactly like we think it is. This is so critical right now, my friends. This is so critical. High profile cases, uncritical press, financial and reputation awards. Above all, silencing of dissent. That's critical. And when the pattern gets this obvious, our refusing to ask questions is no longer kindness, it's cowardice, it's implicence. You see what I'm saying? So just think about this. I'm not saying they're doing this for their own financial purposes or their own benefit. I'm just saying if they were, it would look exactly like this. So what do you think, my friend? What do you think? I know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments after you subscribe to the channel and comment as you see fit.